Today, in Compassion in Action, we'll be watching a beautiful short film called Anima. This film was produced by the Giebord Center, which is a spiritually centric interfaith organization that opens hearts and minds by challenging assumptions, by experiencing the sacred, and by embracing spirituality, all with the aim of transforming the world. But before watching the film, we're going to chat briefly with Dr. Lo Sprague, president of the Giebord Center. And Dr. Lo has recently returned from South Africa, where she was doing rescue work with the Animal Defenders International. Welcome, Dr. Lo.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. And I want to thank everybody on this Zoom today for the work that all of you are doing to show compassion to animals. It takes all of us, and it does make a difference. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you. And
Go ahead,
please.
sorry.
I'm excited to share this film with you. I will tell you a little bit about how it came to be. In about 2016, I became aware of the work of Animal Defenders International. And at the time, they were rescuing lions from the circuses in Peru. And the thing that struck me about their work was not only were they rescuing this group of lions and getting them out of the circus, they literally went in and had the strategic awareness and asked the question about how do we shut down the industry of using wild animals in circuses. So they went in, they went undercover, they filmed the circuses for around a year. They then went to legislators and said, we think this practice should be stopped. They had hearings. The circuses said, oh no, we love animals. We're so good to our animals. At which point they showed the films, and the legislators voted to ban all circus animals in Peru. So they were rescuing not only those lions, they were rescuing all the future lions. And I love their work because they have that kind of strategy when they take on an action. And so I, at the time, was the vice president of the Giebord Center, which is, as you said, a spiritually centric interfaith organization. And the thing that struck me as I learned more and more about the work of animal defenders was there was no voice of faith. There were no people of faith that were speaking up. And so I spoke with Gwen Giebord, who was our leader, and said, can I take this to our advisory council? And she said, sure. So we had about 35 different leaders all across the faith spectrum in Los Angeles. And I said to them, this is the situation. I think we should participate. I think we should speak up. What do you think? And unanimously, I mean, it was instant and it was unanimous, we're in. So I said, will you join me in making this film and will you speak out? And they said, yes. So with great naivete, no budget, we set out to make this little 12-minute film. And a number of our advisors participated in that. I want to say that at the time, we had enough money to film for 12 days. So we filmed as much as we could. You're going to see a 12-minute film, but there's actually hours of B-roll. And this film is just an introduction. It's just raising the topic. It's just saying faith communities have a lot to say about animals, and compassion begins with animals. So we finished the film in 2018. I went into Guatemala in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, to participate in a rescue of 17 lions and tigers. And I have to say, Adriana, I loved your meditation. I was just with tigers over my shoulder for the last couple of weeks, and it's an amazing experience to get the privilege of doing that. But we got on a plane and came back in late February in 2019, and COVID struck. And so everything shut down. But while we were in Guatemala, what I did is I reached out to the Bishop of Guatemala, the Episcopal Bishop, and ask him if he would do a blessing for these animals before we took them around the world. And he was thrilled. And for those of us who want to get folks involved, he was absolutely thrilled to do that. And came, and we were filming, and I suddenly realized he's standing there in front of these temporary cages, and he's apologizing on behalf of humanity to these animals for what we've done.
That's
It
so
was
beautiful.
the most stunning experience. And
That's so beautiful.
it was amazing. And then we were also able to reach out to the woman who was the woman in charge of the Mayan sacred book. And we asked her if she would come as an indigenous person and give a blessing for the animals. As you know, in many countries, the indigenous are not particularly respected or included. She was thrilled to come. She did an extraordinary blessing. We had to cut it short because it would have taken 3 days and we were trying to get out of the country. But we also filmed that. So we're just now getting the film back. So what you're going to see with Anima is really an introduction. It's a way for us to begin to have conversations about what does kindest animals really look like? Why is it important not to eat animals? Why is it important to consider them? And I have to say, I urge all of you to go to Animal Defenders International's Facebook page and follow them. The sanctuary that they're doing in South Africa, I've been following it very closely, but being there, it was stunning to experience how thoroughly at every moment they considered every aspect of what they were doing and what its implications would be. They were in the process of planting 250 indigenous trees to rewild the land again. They were, with every animal, considering whatever they could do to support its life at a time when they can never be released in the wild again. Circus animals have had their claws and their teeth broken, and you can't turn them loose. So how can we give them a life that allows them to not be seen unless they choose to be seen? How can you let the grass grow tall enough so they can hide? How can you give them the choice to be outside in a huge rainstorm and yet have some shelter? How do you take care of their medical needs and give them a kind of freedom in the course of that? And it was a thoughtfulness. I mean, if we talk about Buddhism and a mindfulness, there is a kind of thoughtfulness that goes all the way to a local dog that had been abused who was brought into the sanctuary. It was wild tortoises. They're constantly being offered animals that come out of the illicit trade. And someone had 2 tortoises that had been saved. Well, they have 500 wild tortoises on the property. So yes, they found just the right place to release these to give them time to adjust.
Dr. Lowe, I'm so
it's
sorry.
stunning.
I have to interrupt again
Yep.
because we have a schedule.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
but I do want to thank you so much for the background on this film.
Yes.
And how wonderfully worthwhile the Animal Defenders International is, and for that recommendation to follow them. So many of us have been looking forward to seeing this film.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much.